Howdy folks, this is Shane. I wanted to give everyone a huge thanks for all your great feedback on my review of the Fender Mustang GT200 that I posted a couple of days ago. It was the #1 video for me of the year already, so it just went off. It got like 10 or 11,000 hits within the first day, which is crazy. So thank you so much for that. I absolutely appreciate it. I also appreciate the fact that you knew I was being sincere. That's amazing. Today, I actually boxed up the amp and took it back. Now, before you give the video the thumbs down, hear me out. Mustang Monday is still coming back. I'm actually going to borrow my friend's Mustang 3 amplifier. I'm going to do all the patches on that. There's a reason for that as well. I figure the majority of the people that saw that review may not actually go and get the amp. And it's up to you if you want to go get it, but even if you do go get it, these patches will still work with the new amps, but they'll also work with the old amps. If I'd only made the patches with the new amp, everyone who had the version 2 amps wouldn't be able to use them. That's another huge thing that kind of sucks, but I guess there's some models and so forth in there that is different to the older versions. What made me take it back? A number of things. I used it live for the first time last night. I took it out and had a play. There was a couple of things about it that I absolutely couldn't stand. The first thing was kind of weird. I got this weird sort of burning plastic smell from the amp. I had a few people like looking around like, what's that smell? That was the Mustang. Sometimes that can be some sort of dust getting cleaned out, you know, from the heat of the amplifier, but I don't know, man. It smelled like burning plastic. That was just nasty. The patch I also made at home that I thought sounded relatively good. I actually uploaded that patch just as a test to see how the app worked and all that kind of stuff. It's called Tweedy Goodness, so you can check that out if you want. The overdrive pedal sound was way too loud, so I corrected that at home. I took it out live, and depending on where I had the volume of the actual amplifier, the overdrive didn't seem to respond the same. Not only in what frequencies I was hearing, it got kind of nasty and honky on the high end and like really brittle and harsh, you know, that frequency that just shatters your teeth. It kind of felt a little bit like that when I was playing it. The amp was either not loud enough and sounding okay, or plenty loud and not sounding very nice at all. Depending on the set I played last night, I had the amp anywhere from about 10 o'clock on the volume to about 2 o'clock on the volume. In the end, I just left the overdrive on and I used my volume control, and it just didn't clean up. It didn't feel good to play. My experience using it was super frustrating. A good friend of mine also had his PB Bandit sitting right next to it, and what can I say? It sounded so much better. It sounded more organic and natural sounding, responded better to the pedals, all that kind of stuff. So I thought, you know what, as soon as I got home, packed it back up. I kept all the packaging, packed it back up, took it back to the shop, and a huge thanks to the guys at Sky Music for allowing me to exchange it over. You might be asking, what did you get? What did you get? Did you get another Mustang? I didn't. I absolutely didn't get another Mustang, and I don't plan on buying a GT Mustang ever again. I couldn't get a refund, which was fine. I didn't expect that, but the guys were nice enough to allow me to swap it. So I got a Blues Junior. I don't know what that trumpet noise was, but anyway, I thought, why not? I'll get a Blues Junior. It'd be good for doing little demos at home, taking out to small gigs if I do have them. What were the positives out of using the Mustang? It was light. I gotta say, that was probably the best thing. Getting it from the car, up the stairs, into the venue. That was easily the best part. It was extremely light. I had very low expectations of the amplifier. The more I used it since shooting my demo, the less I liked it. The best feature of the amplifier is the looper. I absolutely love that feature. I think it's just probably the biggest asset of the actual Mustang GT amps. You might remember in my demo I kept saying how hi-fi the amp was and it didn't feel like it jumped out. That's exactly the kind of feeling I had playing it on the most part. There were some patches that felt like they were jumping out a little bit better than others in the mix, in terms of in a live mix with other players. But overall, it was Fizz City. I absolutely didn't like it. When I was shooting that demo, there was a term I couldn't think of, and one of the users on the actual comment section said, it kind of sounds out of phase. That was exactly what I was looking for in terms of terminology. So if you have or haven't ever recorded a guitar amplifier with more than one microphone, sometimes if you've got the microphones on certain angles, they can kind of cancel each other out when you listen back. You actually have to flip the phase on one of the channels in post. That's not the problem I had with my recording, but that's the kind of feeling I get listening to that amplifier. It seems like the speakers are kind of canceling out some of the frequencies that should be coming through. Overall, I was extremely disappointed with the amp. It was a huge waste of money. The other reason I wanted to swap this amp over for something else was resale value. I think a Blues Junior is definitely going to hold its value if I do choose to get my money back on what I spent on making that demo. It cost me $850. So yeah, I wanted to recover some funds. I plan on keeping that Blues Junior, but if times get tough, at least I can sell it and I'll be good to go. My friend Rick, who you've seen on my channel, he also bought one of these amps not long ago as well. He actually pre-ordered his before I got mine, but anyway, he said he feels exactly the same way about what he's hearing with his. I may go over to his place and shoot some videos with him at some point and have a bit of a discussion about what he's hearing with his amp. He said all the same things that I've said. It sounds very two-dimensional. It almost sounds like there's phasing issues between the speakers. And he also said if you're gonna stream music, make sure whatever device you're streaming it into the amp, you've turned the volume all the way down. He said the master volume has no effect on the streaming volume. How could they do that? He said he just blew his eardrums out as soon as he plugged in some music. So be careful of that. The other huge problem with this amp is not having those hardware keys came to bite me in the ass. I was having trouble fiddling around with the pedal, then I had to go over to the amp and turn the volume of the overdrive pedal down. And it's just a nightmare. I'm almost convinced that the Mustang series amps shouldn't be used live. The reason I say that is the foot switch configuration. Man, it did my head in last night. As simple as it is when you're at home, if you click something by accident like that left button, everything gets messed up. I actually ended up having a loop coming through my sound when I was actually trying to hit my overdrive pedal on because I accidentally knocked the left button. Totally sucks. Another thing that sucks is I needed to adjust the volume of my overdrive while I was playing live. It was just way too loud. As soon as I turned my amp up, the overdrive was just so overpowering in terms of just sheer volume compared to what it was like at lower volume. So I had to go over there and fiddle with that. Doing that in a live situation is an absolute nightmare. I thought to myself, that's it, I'm done. As soon as I get home, I'm boxing this thing up, taking it back to the shop, and luckily I was able to exchange it for something that I actually really liked. Here's one more thing I have to point out, it's been driving me nuts. Certain stores that run YouTube channels are just unbelievably biased and they don't point out any of the facts or any of the cons or anything like that in terms of gear. I really feel like the online marketing in conjunction with some shops and YouTube channels through Fender, all that kind of stuff, is just aimed at the uninformed. I can't thank you enough for watching my video, and I hope you share it around because people need to see both sides of the story. These YouTube channels that only promote stuff to sell stuff isn't always going to be as factual as channels like mine or other smaller channels. That said, there's also a lot of smaller channels who are kind of in with companies and all that kind of stuff as well. That said, just know I know my stuff when it comes to the Mustang amps, and I was completely dissatisfied. And if you're thinking about upgrading, definitely take your old amp in and put it side by side and see if you can hear what I heard. All in all, I think the version 2 amps are so much better. Stick with them. Mustang Monday patches will follow. I'm gonna have to pick this amp up. It might bump the Mustang Monday start back a week or something, but I'm gonna still do a handful of patches for everybody as a way of saying thanks for all the great comments on my videos. And I also said I was gonna do patches, so that's what I'm gonna do. For those who also mentioned about the Boss Katana amplifiers, a friend of mine has one. He's offered to lend it to me to do some videos. I'm looking forward to that as well. That said, I'm all Fender Mustang GT'd out. Does that even make sense? I'm not sure. Anyway, Blues Junior, guitar, pedal, done. Easy. Thanks for watching, folks. Leave all your comments below, and if you have any comments about these amplifiers or questions, leave them below. But yeah, I don't own one now. It's gone. Blues Junior's in the house. I'm happy. I can sleep well at night. Cheers. Alex, you want to buy a great amp, mate? No, man.